Hi. Hi, and welcome to my meditation. Just give us a sec while I just have to check that I'm in the right place for Instagram, which I am. Beautiful. How are you? How's it going? How's your Monday? Good? I hope it's going well. Fine. If it's not, I understand every day doesn't go well. Every day isn't always brilliant. That's fine. I hope it's going well. We're going to do some meditation. This isn't a class, it's just a chance to meditate together. I do these meditations as part of further emergence work I do. If you're curious about that, I'll explain it when we're finished the meditation. I do them on Monday, Wednesday and Friday, these meditations. On Wednesday and Friday we just meditate. And on Monday I explain what I do for the benefit of people who are new to meditation. So if that is you, today is the day. There's lots of different types of meditation. This is what I do. For me, it starts with why I would meditate, because I am trying to connect to a part of me that I connect to every night when I go to sleep. Not the dreaming bit, the bit after dreaming. I'm sort of dreaming and then I drop out the bottom dreaming into deep dreamless sleep, where I have no thoughts, no feelings, no personality, no emotions, no memories, don't really have a body, don't have a bedroom or a bed or a house. Everything kind of goes in deep dreamless sleep. Even I go, because I'm not there. I don't register myself in the way that I normally do when I'm conscious. All of which sounds awful. I mean, it sounds like death, and yet I love going to sleep. And when I wake up, I feel refreshed. So wherever I go, some part of me knows that it's a good place, and that's where I want to go to when I meditate. I just want to do it consciously. So straight away, if you're new to meditation, if this is the first time or it's early, I'd encourage you not to try doing this lying down, because when you lie down and you close your eyes, your body understandably goes, oh, it must be time for sleep. So you'll either battle sleep or you'll fall asleep, both of which are kind of not really what you want to be doing. They kind of distract you from what you're trying to do, which is meditate. So I'd encourage you to sit up. You don't have to sit in the lotus position or anything like that unless you're comfortable sitting in the lotus position, in which case go ahead. But I'm just sitting in a normal kind of chair. I would discourage you from sitting in a big comfortable chair, because you might get into the whole sleep thing again. So yeah, just a slightly uncomfortable chair. So as I said, there's no thinking in when I go into deep dreamless sleep. And it's similar with meditation. Where I want to go to, it's like my mind can't get there. It's almost like it's a room that I go into and my mind has to wait outside the door. I don't know why it's like that, but that is the way it is. So from my mind point of view, kind of boring. It's very boring, particularly if you are having a long-term kind of meditation practice, because once the novelty is worn off, your mind is like, oh God, I got to do this again. So it's important to have your mind on board for the process. So I just make an arrangement with my mind. I just say, could you just not think for the next 15 minutes? We want to meditate. Now, at this stage, my mind is used to it, the whole process. So it's sometimes grudgingly, but it does agree. And having your mind on board is really important. But as I say, it only like if this is the first time you're meditating, your mind will be on board because it's a new thing. It's a new and interesting thing. And even though it's hearing me saying that about having to wait outside the door, it still wants to do it. So my mind, good. Stop thinking. Now, stopping thinking is easier than you would think, because regardless of what I'm thinking about, which would be the content of my thought, the structure of my thought is always the same, what's around it. And that's always pictures and sound. So if I turn off the pictures and I turn off the sound, that's it, I'm not thinking. Now, when I say sound, I'm not talking about turning off the external sound, the car down the street or whatever. I'm not talking about that. internal sound, you know, internal dialogues, monologues, conversations that you're having with yourself. That's the sort of sound I'm talking about. So I turn off the pictures, I turn off the sound. And I do that, I've stopped thinking. And as soon as I do that, I'm into the practice of meditation. Now, the practice of meditation runs parallel with the intention of my meditation. So the intention of my meditation is to go to this deep, still, profound, Zen-like, calm, you know, all those words that are used to describe, to go to that place. And then the practice of meditation pretty much starts as soon as I turn off the pictures and turn off the sound, as soon as I stop thinking. And it generally goes, I'll turn off the pictures, turn off the sound, or bring myself to not thinking. Some time passes and I discover that I'm thinking again. I go, oh, I'm thinking again. Turn off the pictures, turn off the sound, bring myself to not thinking. Then some more time passes and I discover I'm thinking again. I go, oh, I'm thinking again. I turn off the pictures, turn off the sound, bring myself back to not thinking. Then some more time passes, I'm thinking again, and so on. So it's pretty, every time I discover thinking, I bring myself back to not thinking. If you do that, you're doing great. And that thinking happen in meditation. It's very easy to get the misconception that in order to meditate correctly, inverted commas, you know, correctly, there shouldn't be any thinking at all, which in my experience isn't the case. These two things, the practice and the intention, go together, and they sort of weave back and forth and do a little kind of a dance. Sometimes you'll be very deep and still, other times you'll be discovering that you're thinking. And both are powerful in their own way. It's kind of obviously powerful when you discover that you're thinking, when you are very still, because you can feel it in your body. You can feel the changes, you can feel your breathing deepening, you can feel your nervous system rebalancing. It's great. It's not so obvious that it's discovering that you're thinking, because even though, as I said, my mind can't go into this place that where I go when I meditate, that doesn't stop my mind having a lot to say about it. So there's a space there where you discover that you're thinking, to kind of, instead of just go, oh, I'm thinking again, turn off the pictures, turn off the sound. Instead of that, to kind of go, oh, I'm thinking again. I'm terrible at meditation. Okay, which is just another thought, really. It's just your mind commenting itself. But it's powerful because if you're like me, the sort of things that you think about will be all to do with you. So I'll be kind of thinking, what am I going to do about that thing? And why did that person say that to me? And why did I say that to that person? You know, those kind of things. Now, let's say I'm meditating and I'm in the middle of, I'm on one of those trains of thought, and then I realize I'm thinking. I go, oh, thinking, turn off the pictures, turn off the sound, bring myself back to not thinking. Indirectly, what I'm saying to myself and demonstrating to myself is, you know, that thought that you were having, the one that you thought was you and that you were it, well, you just made that disappear. You just made it go. So you're obviously not that thought. In fact, you're not any of your thoughts. You're something else. That's very powerful. And the fact that you do that repeatedly is very powerful as well. So the main thing to get is, I turn off the pictures and I turn off the sound. I bring myself back to not thinking every time I discover that I'm thinking. If I just do that, I'm doing great. I'm meditating perfectly. Now, while all that is going on, I'm also becoming conscious of my body, and particularly tension in my body. So I am focusing on the sensation in my body. So I'm sort of starting at my head, I'm working my way down to my feet and back up again. Now, I'm not thinking about it, I'm just putting my attention on different parts of on the sensation in different parts of my body. And anywhere I find tension, or anywhere I come across parts of my body that feel tight, I let them go. And I use my out breath to let them go, because it's very natural to just sort of breathe it away. But it's also a good way of remembering to breathe, or becoming a bit more by breathing. Because in meditation, with all the thinking, not thinking stuff that's going on, it can be easy to stop breathing your breath. So using the out breath to let go of tension is just a good way of jumping over that. The other thing I do is, as I'm going up and down my body, I spend a little bit more time on any structures in my body that go across my body. Mostly my body runs longitudinally from my head to my toe. Anywhere it goes, any structures that go across, they operate a little bit like a log going across a stream. You know, it sort of picks up all the twigs and the branches and everything that's coming down the stream. Except in my body, That's tension. So a little bit more time on my eyes, my jaw, my tongue, the base of my neck, my shoulder girdle, my heart area, all my respiratory diaphragm, my intestines, my pelvic floor, my hips, my knees, my ankles, and my toes. It's very helpful to have a nice quiet room when you're meditating, because one of the things that triggers thoughts is and as soon as you close your eyes to meditate, your hearing amplifies. So having a quiet room, you're just helping your mind have less things to think. And the other thing I do to help my mind have trigger to think, I set a timer. So I'm going to set my timer for 15 minutes, but I'd encourage you to set yours set it for 5 minutes if you're just starting out, if this is the first time. Set it for 5 minutes and repeat it 3 times, because 15 minutes is a long time if you're not using it. Okay, let's get on with it. Okay, off we go then into the mystery. So as I said, further emergence, I'll explain about it. Further emergence is to do with growth, really. Growth in consciousness, growth in awareness. You could call it spiritual growth, inner growth, you know. Because your body stops growing when you become an adult, but you keep growing on the inside. That doesn't stop. That goes on for your whole life. I mean, you only have to think who you were 5 years ago, 10 years ago. It's really obvious that you keep, excuse me, you keep growing. And just like when you were a kid, you might have gone through growth spurts in your body. You go through growth spurts on the inside, go on for life as well. The difference between a growth spurt in your body and a growth spurt, an inner growth spurt, is when you were a kid and you were going through a growth spurt, and you went to your parents and said, "Oh, my shins are killing me," or I've got growing pain somewhere. Your parents wouldn't have rushed you to hospital. They wouldn't have brought you to the doctor. They would have just said, "Oh, that's terrible, but it's natural. It'll pass. It's just growing pains." When you're going through an inner growth spurt, when you're 45 or 35 or 25 or 65, it doesn't really matter. As an adult, it's much harder to know that it's natural and it'll pass. There's a much bigger space to feel like I'm losing my mind, there's something wrong with me, nobody gets me, nobody understands me, nobody seems to know what I'm talking about. It doesn't feel natural, I feel broken. Much bigger space for that. So further emergence is about supporting growth generally, just inner growth, growth in consciousness, and then particularly to help with those times when you're going through an inner growth spurt. So these meditations are part of that support, because the more familiar you are with your inner growth, the more familiar you are with your inner space, the easier it is to navigate those inner growth spurts. There's a retreat every month. We just had one on Saturday, and they are a chance to they do a couple of different things. We do some more meditation, more in-depth kind of meditation. It's a chance to see that there are other people going through similar to what you're going through. It's never the same, but it's similar. To ask questions, to share, just share space as well with other people, and to kind of, instead, it reframes it from being a big problem to something difficult but natural, and it's okay. I also work with people one-to-one, and that's to help. It's about more specific feedback and about energetic support as well. And then I've written a couple of books. I've written 4 books, all kind of around the subject. There's the podcast, and then there's the YouTube channel. So lots there. Now, if you're still with me, part of you is going, "Oh, there's something to this. It's kind of resonating with you." In which case, I would just encourage you to let that part of you tell you what the next thing for you to do is. To get in touch for some one-to-one, to come to a retreat, to keep doing the meditation, or whatever. Okay, thanks very much for meditating with me, and I'll see you on Wednesday maybe for some more meditation.